According to the Alzheimer's Association, somewhere in the world, another person develops Alzheimer's disease about every 65 seconds. And roughly 2/3 of those diagnosed are women. For women over 60, the risk of developing Alzheimer's is estimated to be about twice the risk of developing breast cancer. And women also make up 2/3 of the 40 million American unpaid caregivers. 17 million of them attend to dementia patients alone. Often, they're also caring for a parent or spouse while still managing work, household responsibilities, and sometimes even grandchildren. Welcome to RenewHer, a podcast for women over 50 ready to reignite their energy and explore what's next. I'm Janelle Lemley, brain fitness coach. Here, you'll hear real stories from women taking on new challenges after 50, along with brain health tips to boost focus, energy, and the mindset to move forward with confidence. Let's dive into today's episode. Today's episode is an important one. Today, I want to talk about something that affects every woman, yet isn't talked about nearly enough: brain health. We know that women are at a higher risk for Alzheimer's disease, but what's still not fully understood is why that is. And that gap in understanding is exactly why this conversation matters. Because even if we don't have all the answers yet, we do know a lot about what supports brain health and what we can start doing today. My goal isn't to create fear, it's to create awareness and empowerment, because awareness leads to action and action leads to change. According to the Alzheimer's Association, somewhere in the world, another person develops Alzheimer's disease about every 65 seconds. And roughly 2/3 of those diagnosed are women. For women over 60, the risk of developing Alzheimer's is estimated to be about twice the risk of developing breast cancer. And women also make up 2/3 of the 40 million American unpaid caregivers. 17 million of them attend to dementia patients alone. Often, they're also caring for a parent or spouse while still managing work, household responsibilities, and sometimes even grandchildren. So what we end up seeing is this double layer of responsibility. Women are more likely to experience the disease themselves and more likely to be the ones caring for others who are living with it. And I want to pause there because this isn't just data. This is real life for millions of women. And I know a few of them. So the question becomes, what do we do with this information? My hope is that we don't respond with fear, but with empowerment. Because one of the most important shifts happening in brain health today is this understanding. We are not powerless. Brain health is not something that just declines randomly with age. It is something that is shaped over time by the choices we make every day. And research from neuroscientists like Lisa Mosconi, including her work in her book, The XX Brain, has helped bring attention to something important about women's brains. Women go through unique hormonal and neurological changes across their lifespan, especially during the transition into menopause. During this time, estrogen levels decline. And estrogen is not only involved in reproductive health, it also plays a role in brain energy metabolism, memory, and overall brain resilience. What researchers are exploring is whether these hormonal shifts may be a factor that helps explain differences in brain aging between men and women. Because as I mentioned earlier, the reason remains unknown. What this means is that a woman's brain may experience a period of increased vulnerability during the years leading up to and following menopause. But this is still an area of active research, and we don't yet have a single clear explanation for the differences we see. But this is not a message of inevitability. It's a message about awareness and timing. Because the earlier we begin supporting brain health, the more resilience we can build over time. And just as importantly, it's never too late to start supporting our brains. And here's something else that's important to understand. Alzheimer's disease does not begin when symptoms appear. It begins quietly in the brain decades earlier, often 20 to 30 years before any noticeable changes show up in daily life, which means the habits we live today are not just about how we feel right now. They are shaping the brain we will have years from now. And the encouraging part is this: there's so much we can influence. Across the work of experts like Dr. Daniel Amen, Dr. Dale Bredesen, Dr. Sanjay Gupta, Dr. Mark Hyman, Lisa Mosconi, and others, there's a consistent theme that shows up again and again. Lifestyle matters a lot. There is no single magic pill. There is no guaranteed prevention, but there is strong and growing evidence that what we do daily, how we eat, move, sleep, manage stress, and stay socially and mentally engaged, can all support brain health and resilience. Lifestyle modifications can be tailored to the repair, rejuvenation, and longevity of the brain. One of the challenges, though, is that we are not naturally wired for prevention. We tend to take action when something feels urgent, when something feels broken, when symptoms appear, but brain health doesn't wait for urgency. And that's where many people miss the opportunity, because by the time symptoms show up, changes have often been building for years in the background. That's why awareness matters so much. As the saying goes, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And prevention doesn't have to be complicated. In fact, it works best when it's simple and consistent. Let's put this into perspective for a moment. Of all the challenges to brain aging, nothing compares to the unprecedented scale of Alzheimer's disease, which has become the most common form of dementia. Research suggests that if rates continue at their current pace, the disease will nearly triple by 2050 without major changes. One of the more striking statistics is that a 45-year-old woman may have a 1 in 5 lifetime risk of developing Alzheimer's disease, compared to about 1 in 10 for a man the same age. And again, this is not here to create fear, it's here to create awareness, because awareness gives us the opportunity to act earlier. And here's where I want to focus, because the brain is not fixed. As I've mentioned before, it is adaptable, it is responsive, it changes based on how we live. This is the power of what is called neuroplasticity. The choices you make each day are helping shape your brain for better or for worse. We are actively influencing it every day. That's why even small changes matter. And that's where hope lives. Because small, consistent changes can support things like memory, focus, mood, energy, and long-term cognitive resilience. So instead of asking, what if something goes wrong someday, we can begin asking, what can I do today to support my brain for the long term? At RenewHer Wellness, I often come back to a simple framework built around 6 key pillars of brain health: nourishing your body, moving regularly, prioritizing rest and relaxation, reducing the toxins you're exposed to each day, continuing to learn and challenge your brain, and staying connected with others. None of these have to be complicated. They're simply areas where small, consistent choices can make a meaningful difference over time. For nourishment, one simple step is to add more color to your meals. Leafy greens, berries, healthy fats like olive oil, nuts, and omega-3 rich foods. It also means cutting back on added sugar and limiting processed foods as much as possible. Not perfection, just giving your brain more of the nutrients it needs to thrive. For movement, something as simple as a 20 to 30-minute walk each day can increase blood flow to the brain and support overall cognitive health. If 20 or 30 minutes feels like too much right now, start with 5 or 10 minutes. The goal is to build consistency first, then build duration. And if you're already exercising regularly, that's fantastic. Keep it up and continue to challenge yourself in ways that build your strength, endurance, and overall fitness. For rest and relaxation, quality sleep is incredibly important because it's when your brain consolidates memories and clears away waste products that build up during the day. Aim for 7 to 9 hours of sleep each night. But rest isn't just about sleep. One area I think we often overlook is giving our brains a chance to slow down. We're constantly consuming information, multitasking, and responding to notifications. Even taking just 5 minutes to practice deep breathing, meditate, pray, or simply sit quietly can help calm your nervous system. We can't eliminate all of life's stress, but we can build habits that help us respond to it with greater resilience. For reducing toxins, think about the small exposures that add up over time. It could be choosing more whole foods, swapping out a household cleaner for a safer option, or paying a little more attention to the ingredients in your personal care products. We can't avoid every environmental toxin, but we can make more intentional choices about what we put in and on our bodies and what we bring into our homes. For learning and mental engagement, give your brain something new. Read a book, learn a new skill, try learning a foreign language, take a different route on your daily walk. The brain loves novelty, and continuing to learn helps keep it engaged. And finally, don't underestimate the power of connection. Reach out to someone for a meaningful conversation, have lunch with a friend, join a group, volunteer. Strong social connections aren't just good for your emotional well-being, they're good for your brain too. When you put it all together, here's what it comes down to. Brain health isn't built on one big decision. It's built on hundreds of small decisions we make every single day, and none of them have to be perfect to make a difference. So if there is one message I hope you take from this episode, it's this. You are not powerless when it comes to your brain health. You don't have to wait for symptoms. You don't have to wait for a diagnosis. You don't have to wait for a crisis. You can begin now with small, intentional choices that support the version of you you're becoming. Because, again, it is never too early to start, and it is never too late either. Until next time, keep renewing your body, your brain, and your life. I'll see you in the next episode. Thank you for joining me for this episode of Renew Her. If today's conversation sparked something in you, don't let it fade. Take even a small step toward what's next. If you found value in what you heard, please subscribe, leave a review, or share this podcast with a woman who's ready to take her next bold step. Together, we're building a community of strong, resilient women, navigating what's next with courage and purpose. Until next time, stay energized and keep embracing what's possible.